Yes, people, welcome back to another stream, another video, and I'm joined by my mate Lawless, big West Ham fan. And actually, it's pretty good that you got here, Bill, because you know Steve Bell, yeah? I've seen Steve in your channel, actually, a couple of times when I come on West Ham Fan TV, and I'm just having a nosy around. Big Steve, big West Ham.
Yeah. He's one of our top lads, Steve's. He's a great plug. He's always in the chat. One of our regulars.
He's a good lad, man. He's a good lad. He watches some of our stuff as well, man. So I appreciate it. Big up, Steve. Big up to everyone in the building. We've got Abdis Salad, Am Guardiola, Dash, SB, Thotam Zir, Sub to Mancunian Way, Alvida Zane. Who else we got in here? Thotam's here, Esther's in here, Ryan's in here. Big up to everyone. Hopefully you're all well. Make sure you drop a like on the stream, guys. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel as well if you're new. But we need to get, first of all, bro, the European champions unite. However, we won't be united on Saturday, bro, because it's we got to go to war. But how's it feel being European champions, man? It must have been a bit of a madness.
It's crazy. It is crazy because you might know this yourself, LB, right? Before you won that, say the first Premier League or the first trophy you won when you started to get good and all that. And I'm not saying I'm comparing us to each other, but when you've really suffered for so long. And you finally get rewarded, you finally see it, and you thought you'd never see it happen. It's like that. It's so it's unbelievable. I still can't believe it, and I want more now. I want more.
Yeah, it was a madness. It was a crazy one, and imagine if an English club could have won a Europa League. That would have been pretty class as well to have three English clubs winning it. But you've carried on.
Glad, though, who would it have been though? Would it have been who was in it? Arsenal.
United. United. Oh yeah. Actually, was it just them two? Actually, now you're right. Thought them two.
Yeah.
But you won the European Cup end of last season, and you started off mint, bro. Four games played, 3 wins, 1 draw, scored 9, conceded 4. That's 10 points. You're in the top 4 as it stands. I mean, where are you at the moment? Because obviously we've had a few conversations with, about West Ham, about Moyes and that. Obviously, I get the frustration. I mean, did you have to sort of forget the style of football at times and just go with that? Obviously, a good start, or what's the sort of vibe like, man, at the West Ham? At West Ham, City fans going down to West Ham, going down to London on Saturday. What's the vibe like at the moment, at West Ham, man?
Yeah, man, I think it's ultimately is a good vibe. I mean, this is only our second home game of the season. We've played 3 away, 1 at home. And ultimately the fans are happy because we're winning. The style of football is very divisive. I've always said, if it's effective, I'll accept it. I'll take it if it works. The problem is last season, when you play that style of football, the fans aren't going to be patient with you. If you're losing week in, week out and playing this way, I'm sorry, I can't sit there and get behind it. I can't sit there and go, oh, it's fine. It's because you don't get the results and you don't get entertained by playing good football. So you get nothing. It's just a miserable existence is what it is. So that's the thing. Like now, I said, like, because Moyes tried to change things up last season, didn't work, went back to, what he knew best. But if you're going to do it, go all in on your way and make it work. And if it doesn't work, okay, bye-bye. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, I feel like we have these debates now about style of football a lot more in the last sort of 5-6 years, basically. I think since Pep came in, because I remember when I was a kid, I don't remember having conversations about style of play. Do you know what I mean? I think maybe, I don't know. Do you think football's maybe gone down too much down the sort of style of play route, right? Because I don't know if you ever watch what's he called, Big Sam. He's got a podcast now, and I listen to him sometimes, and he thinks that this whole style of play is a little bit of a bit just basically rubbish. He's saying just get the ball forward, get the ball inside the penalty area, and try and score goals, more goals than your opponent. Do you think sometimes we dwell on styles a little bit too much, or do you think that actually it is important? You want to see the game being played in the correct way, like.
The thing is about Big Sam, like, he speaks well. When you see, he's very convincing. And I've got to say, like, some of the stuff I saw Big Sam play was better than I saw last week. Do you know what I mean? And in fact, we played some of the best football I've seen in my life under Big Sam, because he was told by the owners, you either play the West Ham way, what we call the West Ham way, and play attacking football, or you're gone. And then he played attacking football. We was in the top 4, and they didn't give him a new deal, and then it nosedived. But we've always, West Ham as a club, and why Big Sam wasn't so popular, is we've always been known for our attacking football. We've always been known. We weren't a team that won things, but other neutral fans loved our team. It was like their second team because we played a brand of football that was brilliant to watch. And that's what so many West Ham fans grew up on. You know, and it goes all the way through to Harry Redknapp and all that. And when it starts to come to the managers like Big Sam, it's sort of like the antithesis of what we've known. So I think that it depends on, you know, you as a club. So I don't know so much about if Man City and how, if you've had and identified like this is Man City and like back then we played great football, you played defensive or on and off. I know Arsenal were very defensive back in the 70s and 80s, and then Wenger took them and made them attacking and all of this stuff. So not many clubs have had those decades of playing really good football. So for us, that the style of play has always been like our identity. So the Big Sams and the Moises, it sort of goes against that. But again, if it's effective, you can give that up, because at the same time, look, if we can't see how we play, we want to win things. We want to be in Europe and have those European away days. So it does seem like you hear about it more for sure.
You know what? It kind of reminds me a little bit of like England and the debate that I had. Was you on the show, the Football 12 on Tuesday? It was a bit like I find it similar to that in the sense that like when people are speaking about Southgate at the moment, and I'm like, well, okay, you're seeing dead football with Gareth Southgate, but you're not winning, right? Okay, we got close, but you're not. Ultimately, the fundamental fact is you're not actually winning. So but you're getting close. So do you stick with a manager like that, or go and get like another manager like a Mourinho who plays negative sort of like in the current style football, but maybe win something? Or do you get a manager in who plays more attacking football, but of course might not win anything either, but then at least you're seeing some good football? I think it's really, really interesting. But of course you have
and that goes into your comment though, Elby, just what you said, like when it comes to England, it is only recently I've heard people talk about style of play. You know, I remember, you know, back when I was a kid and all of that stuff, it was the results were the be all and end all, right? It was the results, and just, if England could just get to a semi, if England could just get here, like, I don't remember it being the style of play being focused on. Now Southgate's the manager, and we have kind of got close, but we haven't like done it. We haven't gotten over the line. And then you're noticing, well, I mean, look, this football is really crap and we're not getting over the line with it. And it's just painful to watch. You know, so that seems to be the case. But look, we was in agreement the other day about Southgate anyway.
Yeah, no, I do find the whole style thing very, very interesting. Let's have a look at how you started the season then. I mean, we went through it a little bit before. 4 games, 3 wins, 1 draw. Talk us through the start to the season. Obviously, I remember the Bournemouth game. I think first game of the season, because I was in your watch long. I was watching you guys in there. Then you got a 3-1 win against Chelsea. 3-1 win against Brighton, which sort of shocked a lot of people, and then a 2-1 win against Luton Town. So you can't even say that you've played dead teams. I mean, you played Brighton, beat them, played Chelsea and beat them as well. Obviously, they're not really a great side at the moment, but still a decent team. I mean, it's been a great start. Surely this has exceeded your expectations, bro.
Oh, massively. Like before the start of the season, when we wasn't really signing anyone, we'd sold Rice and we didn't get any replacements him. Me and many others, we're just looking at that stat thing. We're looking like Bournemouth away. We don't really do well there. Like, our record's terrible. Then we got Chelsea at home and Brighton away. Luton's first game in their new ground.
Yeah, that had all the makings of an upset, that, didn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, we was fully expecting it. So we're looking at that. And then we're like, Man City next, then Anfield. I'm looking at it and go, we might not get our first point till like Sheffield United at home, like late September. That's how we was looking at it. We could be on 0 points, like for 6 weeks, and we're banging trouble. That's how I was looking at it. And so I did not expect it. And that Brighton game was the one that made me sit up. Like, obviously, the Chelsea one, they've gone on to the result doesn't look as impressive as it did at the time because of how bad Chelsea looked, but still, the Brighton game was an eye opener because we never beat Brighton. We haven't beaten Brighton since we was in the Championship, and I was at a game. We smashed them 6-0, and they took that personally. They've come back and they never let us beat them again. So I think it's like 10 years. So for us, and that's why I said, I was like, if we beat them, I'm going to tweet out Moyes in. I didn't think it was going to happen. And we did it, man. And it wasn't just a lucky, it was a tactical masterclass. And people look at possession and the football, like even though they had the ball, we had the higher XG. We created the most chances in that game. And they were top for XG and chances at the time in the table out of anyone. So, yeah, like that was impressive. That was a big eye opener, man.
I think that Brighton game as well. I think it might have given other teams a blueprint as to how to play against Brighton. Because Brighton obviously a fantastic team, but ultimately the amount of players that they have, they've got good players. Obviously, they've got like Ferguson and Mitoma, and that Gross is a class player as well as probably some other players there that I've not even mentioned. But ultimately, they are probably overachieving. I think it's fair to say they're overachieving, and you need to find a way of beating Brighton. And I mean, in the end, it was emphatic, wasn't it? You know what I mean? 3-1 performance. I think their goal
with them. We would have got turned over. Like that's the thing. Everyone combined, like you've got to. And that's what I asked is that we play the game tactically. It's one thing in certain teams, like Man City can go and say, this is how we play and we can play that way against anyone. We can't. Like you've got to go to teams like Man City, like Brighton, who are so good on the ball and play differently. And that's what I was looking at. Like when we played against Luton, we had most of the ball. We had like 60-odd% possession. And it was a different. That's again what I was impressed because it showed that we weren't a one-trick pony. With the ball, we could still make things happen. So, it's interesting.
Facts. Let's have a look at some of your signings then, because you were slow, man, in the market. I remember at one point, I think it was like 2 weeks to go before the end of the window, thinking, what are West Ham doing here, man? You know what I mean? They've sold Rice. They might be selling Paqueta, and they're just not making any signings. You left it relatively late. Let's have a look at some of the signings here.
I mean, you didn't do us any favors. Let's be honest. Because we was going to get Carlos Borges, and you was like going, "Oh, mate, like he's quality, like
he's quality,
lad, everything." And all of a sudden, like I'm like, yeah, excited, and then he goes to Ajax.
Yeah, I know. How's he got on at Ajax? Does anyone? Do you know? Do you know how he's got on since he's gone?
Do you know what? I haven't heard anything of what he's done. So he went there, and we took two of their best players in. Like we're going to talk about Alvarez and Kudus. So cheers, Ajax.
Let me just have a quick look at Carlos.
As he played.
Carlos,
but yeah, like you got me hyped for him as well,
mate. Because he's honestly one of the best players I've ever seen in the City Academy. He's that good. Okay, so he's played 5 games, assisted 1, but he's only played 236 minutes. It looks like he's coming off the bench for like late 20 minutes. So still young. But talk us through some of these signings, mate. Mohamed Kudus. I mean, that one obviously the biggest signing of the summer in terms of transfer fee. I mean, that one looks like a massive coup for West Ham, just based off the fact that at one point in the window, you were seeing the likes of United, Arsenal, maybe even Spurs being linked with it. Edison Alvarez, I've not seen much of him since he's been at West Ham, but by all accounts, has done well. James Ward-Prowse, maybe one that split the fan base. I don't really rate the guy that highly, but it seems to have started off really, really well. Don't know anything about this Mavropanos.
He was at Arsenal years ago. He was at Arsenal centre-back.
I
think Wenger signed him.
I feel like I do. In the back of my mind, I feel like I do. But first of all, tell us about Kudus and Alvarez, big money signings. Have they settled in?
Yeah, like obviously Kudus only got like a few minute cameo at the end of the Luton game. So all I got to see is him do a clearance at the end because it was on the back foot at that point. So, but very exciting player, very exciting signing. I think he's going to be quality for us. Alvarez looks absolutely class, absolutely quality in that defensive midfield role. Like he's just come in. And
so is he the Rice replacement then, bro?
Yeah, he's essentially. I kind of look at it as Ward-Prowse and Alvarez are like both the Rice replacements because they're both taking up the different jobs that Rice was doing to have to cover Souček, whereas Alvarez is more defensive side, and whereas Ward-Prowse is much better at progressing the ball. And it's such an underrated sign. I said, like, look, if we sign out Ward-Prowse, I'm not excited. I'm not for it. I'm not against it. I'm just okay, we've signed Ward-Prowse, right? That was my viewpoint, but he has exceeded expectations because not only is he brilliant on the set pieces, we were crap at corners. I couldn't stand watching Bowen take him anymore, but his passing has been quality, and it's sort of given Antonio a new lease on life, like with it, because the through balls, the balls over the top, the diagonal balls into the channels, that has been, a breath of fresh air for us. So yeah, I think he's been a really underrated signing and a bit of a bargain, to be honest.
It'll be interesting to see if he can get like a proper sick link up with Antonio, because he's a funny guy, man. He talks on the podcast and he talks about how he'd score 30 goals in the City team or whatever. But on his day, he's actually a really, really good striker. I think he's probably horrendous to play against as a defender because you don't know where he's going. You don't know whether he's going down the channels, in behind. He can come to feet. He's strong. He can beat you in the air. Like he's honestly a great, great player. So, but was it like 2 years ago? He had a crazy season, didn't he? He scored like 20 goals or some shit like that.
He started really well. Like, and because I remember that it's when Harry Kane weren't scoring, and I was on like a show with Tobes, the Spurs fan, and I'm like, oh, listen, Antonio right now is better than Kane.
Yeah, I mean, it probably lasted like 3 months, but
yeah, listen, but I was milking it. I was gonna.
I know. I'm sure you was. Now, it'd be interesting to see if Ward-Prowse and Antonio can get that link up. What about this Konstantinos? Is he played yet?
No, like he's basically not been match fit.
Right.
But very, very highly rated since leaving Arsenal. He was highly rated at Arsenal, but he sort of had a few injuries that just took his momentum away from him. Do you know what I mean? He would get in the Arsenal team, he'd have a run of games, look really good, then get injured. By the time he's back, someone else has already taken his place, and he has to try and get it back in and fight his way. And it was like that. And then now he's gone abroad. He went Germany, and yeah, very, very highly rated. So it gives us the option as well if we want to play a back three system with Aguerd, funny enough, linked to Man City. He decided to be looking at all of our players.
I've seen that.
So yeah, I saw that link. So him and Aguerd and Zuma started the season unbelievably.
Captain as well, isn't he?
Yeah, captain. And I was having all these West Ham fans trying to say, we need Harry Maguire because we have no captains at the club. We have no leaders. We need Maguire. Like, piss off.
Yeah, nice. It's doing all right at the moment, Zuma, despite obviously a lot of people have still criticism. But let's move on to the starting 11s and potentially for this game, and we can maybe do a little bit of sort of little tactics. I got a tactic board out. So yeah, let me go through the City team now. It's obviously difficult at the moment because we have got a few injuries. I don't even think we're going to be able to put out a full
Pep's
squad.
back for this as well, isn't he?
So Pep is back for this one. So Ederson will start in goal for us. Defensively, John Stones didn't train today, so I'd imagine that he's still not going to be available, but it doesn't sound like he's a million miles away. Ruben Diaz, ever present for Manchester City, and Kyle Walker having just signed a new contract extension, which I've not done a stream on or anything, guys, but you can basically, it's great news, obviously.
I think the video announcement was pretty class.
Yeah. I'm not leaving. Yeah, it's a good
acting. I was keeping an eye because these footballers are pretty wooden. They can't act, but he got into it. Like, so fair play.
No, they did well. It's a bit of a difficult one now to who plays next to him. Of course, Akanji, who's not. I don't really think we've seen him that much, unless I'm just like imagining it. But I just don't remember him playing that much this year. I imagine it would probably be Gvardiol. I think is further down the list because he's new, so he might go there. And then you might see Ake. Who knows? I mean, the only other options there really is obviously Akanji, but again, I don't really think we've seen too much of him. Ake did pick up a little bit of a knock in international break, but we think he's okay. So I'd imagine
it is mad how Ake, like what has Pepper's done with Ake is unbelievable. He's turned him into like a top class left back, and like when you signed Ake, everyone was just looking at him as like yeah, it's just some squad player. Do you know what I mean? He's not going to get much game time, and it took some time, and everyone was looking at it as like, oh, it's a bit of a crap signing, and now he's been unbelievable. Like past couple of seasons.
Yeah, well, we signed it for 40 million, which at the time I thought it was like a pretty reasonable fee. I felt like maybe we paid over by about 5 million because Bournemouth had been relegated that year. So we were looking at it thinking, maybe we could have got him for a little bit less, but we got him for a decent fee. And he has a decent injury record. And then the first season he comes to Manchester City, he got a couple of injuries which didn't help. Yeah, he made a bad mistake. I think it was against West Brom. I think at home he made a bad mistake, and other than that, just didn't really do anything in that first year. But since then, mate, has been honestly fantastic, and it's got to the point where if you put him up against the Mohamed Salahs of the world, the Sakas, I'm like, yeah, chilling. I back him to win that duel. And even Arsenal fans last season, was saying that I was speaking to Robbie and that when I went down to AFTV, and they were saying when we played Arsenal, that was the first time they'd seen Saka actually be pocketed, and it was Ake. So he's a fantastic player. Has limitations on the ball. He's clearly not as good as the likes of Guardiola and John Stones and that, but he's improved on that as well, which is great. So I imagine it'll be something like that. But you do have Rico Lewis, and you obviously do have a Kanji. But let's have a look at the West Ham back four. Back five, back six. I don't know what you're going to do. Let us know. Who's going to start in goal then for West Ham then, bro?
Yeah, Alphonse Areola finally has become the West Ham number 1 this season. So he's the main man in goal in the league. So okay. Fabianski, I think, is now the cup keeper.
Is that a good thing? Because I don't think Fabianski was the worst goalkeeper in the world from what I saw. No, but you think it was just the right time to change?
Yeah, he's like nearly 40 years old. There has to be that. We signed Areola from PSG on. He's on relatively high wages, and he's been with us now a good. I think this is his 3rd season at West Ham. So for him, it was either now or never. If he weren't going to be the number 1 this season, I can imagine he would have wanted to leave. So, and he's been class. Like he made some outstanding saves against Brighton. It was unbelievable. So we need him. Yeah, great shot stopper.
Yeah, I've not seen too much of him, to be honest with you. Obviously, like you say, because he's not really been playing because of Fabianski. But it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. Okay, then a lot of defenders to choose from. Is it a 4 at the back? How do you think he's going to set up?
I think we'll stick. I think we will stick with how we've been playing. It's the same way we played against Brighton as well. I think we stuck with a back 4. So I think we will play that. So I think Soufal will be the right back. And
you know what? I like him, man. I remember who did it? Who's the other guy on West Ham Fan TV with you?
On the watch-alongs.
No, not the watch-alongs.
Oh, Nicky.
Yeah, Nicky does like
DR Sports.
Yeah, DR Sports stuff, doesn't he? And I've seen a short, on a YouTube short, like a TikToks,
yeah.
And they did it. It was in the transfer window, and they did like sell off. Yeah, and I remember the Koufal one. I can't remember. Don't take this as fact, but I'm pretty sure he was a bit on the edge of it, and I was quite surprised with that because I thought, from what I've seen, he looks like a decent little player.
Yeah. Like. He had to have surgery at some point, and he came back a little bit shaky. And but he sort of got back to speed of things, and he ended last season like really strongly, like back to form. And yeah, he's an absolute warrior in that position.
I think that's what he.
I remember. Yeah, we always remember when he pocketed Grealish when he played for Villa, like when they was going head to head, and that was when Grealish was like obviously what got him the. Sell to Man City, at the height of his Villa peak. So, yeah, I think he'll be good. He'll be playing there. He's good there. And then, Zuma on the right side, centre-back, and then Aguerd on the left.
Talk to me about Aguerd, bro. He's getting a lot of sort of praise at the moment. I seen a couple of links a few weeks ago to Manchester City, maybe next year. Like, is he that good? Like, how good is he? Could he be playing Champions League? Could he play for a team that's going for titles, Champions League, like finalists sort of thing?
I think he's quality. I think he's not there yet. He's got a mistake or two in him, and he just needs to work that out, be a little bit better under pressure. And that's, going to come with time. So there's been a couple of moments where he's made a bad decision, sort of cost us a goal, but he's got pace. He's strong, he's good in the air. And his all round game is very, very good. He just needs to work on those mistakes sometimes and that decision making. And I think he has the potential to go on to be able to play for a Man City. But I would say right now, I think he's better off staying at West Ham for at least 2 more seasons and
just developing.
Seeing them.
What nationality is he?
He's Moroccan.
Oh, does he get selected? Yeah. Does he play?
Yeah. He's one of the main players for the Morocco national team. So, yeah, he's a starter.
Cool. Left back.
Emerson Palmieri, who has overtaken Aaron Creswell.
Right.
Man of the match for me in our Conference League final. He started off kind of shaky. Obviously, he's completed football. Like, he's won everything that there is to win. All the international trophies, club trophies. He's won everything. Great leader. He's been quality, man. He's a signing that when it came, it was just like, really? Like, it was a bit underwhelming. He's just been class for us. So love him. Yeah,
interesting. Just have a look at his appearances here. He's never played more than 34 games for any single club, which is wild. So he might be selling him in January, or he's due a long-term injury or something like that. So
I hope not. Yeah, because this would be the season. Like, there's no way he's getting dropped for Creswell. Like, Creswell was the main man. He came in and they was battling it out, and it was Creswell, Emerson. And then, like, he just cemented that place towards the end of last season, and now it's like it's his, without a doubt.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Let's go to the City midfield then. So we've got some slightly bad news on the injury front with Kovacic. It looks like he's going to be out for 10 days, 2 weeks with some sort of back injury, which is really disappointing because he started the season so well. Rodri, though, he will be playing in this game at in the centre defensive midfield position. And then I'm going to need a little bit of help from you guys in the chat here for the midfield. Obviously, we did discuss it this morning or yesterday or whatever. I can't really remember now about who might be playing in the midfield. But obviously, new signing Nunes, who I don't even think's on the list because he keeps on.
Could he play a 23 or something? Just stick one of them ones. What's that play?
I don't know which one. Player 23. Yeah. Nah. I don't even know. I don't even think Nunes is going to start, to be honest with you. I think it might be Bernardo Silva and Alvarez. I think that Bernardo Silva has been playing on the right wing this season, but because Kovacic is out, I think it's going to be Rodri, Bernardo, and Alvarez. Now, Tekker's Dave says Bernardo and Foden, but then who'd you play right wing? Because obviously Grealish didn't train today as well and has a thigh injury. So we only have 3 wingers at the football club. So you can't. I don't think you can do that unless you want to play Alvarez right wing, which I don't particularly want to. So it's not my preferred midfield 3. I think creativity wise ain't the best, but you're going to get a lot of energy. I mean, it's probably our most energetic midfield that you could possibly get in Rodri, Bernardo, and Alvarez, because these guys run around a lot. But creativity-wise, will we be able to break down your defense and 2 centre defensive mids if you play 2 DMs? I don't know. But that's the midfield that I'm going to go for. I don't think Nunes is going to play this game, guys. I think he's more likely to play against Red Star Belgrade in the Champions League in midweek. It's a home game. It should be an easy game, to be honest with you. This ain't going to be an easy game. So I would say Rodri, Bernardo, and Alvarez for us. West Ham, midfield, what we're saying?
Right. So what we've been playing, and this is going to be interesting to see what he goes with. Alvarez has been sort of that holding midfield just in front of the back 4.
Okay.
Still in the back 4. So he's
like that,
yeah. And then we usually have 2 in front, which Souček got injured, so it was Ward-Prowse and Paqueta. But Ward-Prowse and Paqueta. But I think he might be tempted to bring back Souček because of his ability to break up play and the defensiveness. We saw it when we were down to 10 men against Chelsea. You know, Souček was pivotal. I don't really rate him in a lot of aspects of the game and his ability to progress the ball and all of that, but Moyes loves him, and
he's also tall, isn't he, for set pieces as well.
Yeah, exactly. He attacks set pieces, defends set pieces, and he's just one of them. He's not really going to be great on the counter. He's like passing. He gets the ball, and it takes him like 5 minutes to decide what to do with it. And, he'll mess up like a simple 5-yard pass. So that's kind of Souček for you, and he can't dribble. But I kind of feel like he's going to put Ward-Prowse on the lefts and then Souček on the right, I think, or either way. But the two in front of Alvarez, I think, will be Ward-Prowse and Souček.
Okay, so something like that then, yeah.
Yeah.
So, is there no way that he might sort of do like a 2 in front to give that sort of extra bit of protection, or do you think it will be more Alvarez playing deeper?
The problem is Souček never really has like a solid place on the pitch where he is. People say he's box to box, right? My definition of box to box is you have to be able to progress the ball from one box to the other. His definition is he'll just run from one box to the other. Like, so that's the kind of box to box player that he is. Without you'll see him all over the place.
Guy's just doing the bleep test, man. Beep.
Yeah, he is like you see it. He's the marathon man. Like, he has more like kilometers, whatever, ran per game than any other player in the league.
Yeah.
So that's him. So yeah, it could be either or, but he might start there, but he could drop deeper when it needs to, and then you find him in the box later on. And
so, would you say then, if this is the midfield that he goes for, of course we don't know at this moment in time, but do you think that then there's going to be pressure on Ward-Prowse to basically link up the ball from the defense to his forward line? Do you think there's going to be a lot of pressure on Ward-Prowse in this game?
Everything's going to have to go through Ward-Prowse when it comes to the midfield. You're going to see it. The passing, Alvarez, boom, Ward-Prowse. Ward-Prowse is going to be looking for Antonio, looking for Bowen in the channels, or looking for Paqueta. That's kind of what he's been doing with Souček. You do not want the ball to go through to Souček. Really and truly, he's just going to need to be doing the work off the ball when we have it. And giving the defenders something to think about, maybe dragging some defenders out of position if need be, that sort of stuff when we've got the ball. And without it, he's going to be putting in tackles and kind of slowing you down and breaking up the play.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting midfield. Let's have a look at City's front line. Well, to be honest, guys, if that's the midfield he goes for, which I think he probably will due to the injuries, then you're kind of limited on what you can do. So I think Phil Foden will probably play off the right-hand side. I would imagine, unless Grealish makes a miraculous recovery, which doesn't look likely at the moment in time, Jeremy Doku will start again. But this time we'll start on the left, which will be very interesting.
A player that we were trying to sign until you lot rocked up.
Yeah, I know. And Erling Haaland, best striker in the world, best player in the world, will start as the striker. So I think that's how we'll end up setting up. The only real changes that you could make, maybe Rico Lewis, doubt it though, especially because West Ham are a very sort of powerful and sort of physical side. If you look at them, there's a lot of strength, there's a lot of height. I don't really think that would be the game for Rico Lewis, unless you think to yourself, because he's so quick in the movement, he might be able to get round players a little bit quicker. They get round Souček, them sort of players, because he's so small and agile. But I don't know. I think it's a bit of a risk. Other than that, maybe a Kanji, and then you're just messing around. Who's playing right wing, who's playing the middle. But I think that's what he'll go for.
Justifying Southgate's decision making with this Foden out wide.
I don't know. The reason we'd have to do that is because I don't think Pep would ever put Alvarez and Foden in the middle. I just don't. I think that's too aggressive in the play. You can only really play Foden if he's playing with Bernardo or he's playing with Kovacic. It's the same with Kevin De Bruyne. You know what I mean? Kevin De Bruyne, very rarely you're going to play sort of Phil Foden and Kevin De Bruyne together, because both of them want to be up here. You know what I mean? Both of them want to be high up the pitch, getting close to Haaland, getting shots off. And if they lose the ball or whatever, which they do a lot, you know what I mean, because of the type of players they are, you're a bit exposed because the other players also attacking. So, yeah, I'd imagine it would be Bernardo and Alvarez in there. But, yeah, interesting. Right, let's go through the attacking line then for West Ham. How's it going to be?
Yeah, so I've sort of gone for basically, this is kind of what we did against Brighton. That's kind of what I can see him doing. So this is what I've gone for. And I think, Jared Bowen, of course, is on the right. That's his position, locked in. No one's really taking him out of that. And that's going to be an interesting battle between him and Ake. And he started the season really well. Like Jared Bowen,
Yeah.
Scored that winner for us in the final, playing for a big contract. Obviously, the negotiations are currently going on between Bowen and the club. So, yeah.
Bowen's an interesting one for me, bro, because was it 2 seasons ago? We had a fantastic season, and I think he was linked quite heavily with Liverpool. Deal never ended up getting done. I don't know how solid the interest was. And then last year, bit of a mixture. Obviously, finished it incredibly well with the goal against Fiorentina. He's a player for me. Yeah. Is it consistency? Because there's no doubt in my mind on his day, he's up there with some of the best wingers. He's so tricky. He's obviously got that low center of gravity that people love to talk about. He can go round on the outside. He can cut in off the left. He can get shots. He can score goals. He can create. But what's stopping him from being like a top player, getting a move to a City, an Arsenal, a Chelsea? Like, what's stopping him from getting that big money move? Why is he still at West Ham?
Consistency has been the problem. I think since we signed him, that season that he went on to, I think it was only Salah that had more goalless involvements than him, like 2 seasons ago, right? Even at the start of that season, he started like the first month or so really slowly. And I was just like, he's just not, he needs to really step up. And I just wasn't having it. I was like, he needs to be dropped. Even last season, I was saying he needed to be dropped when we were shocking and there was no one to give him competition. That might be part of it. He can afford to be complacent in terms of keeping his position. But yeah, it's his consistencies because he can go through games every now and then where you don't notice him, or he'll be on the ball and his decision making. Sometimes he can be a bit selfish in front of goal, when there's players in better positions and he just wants to go. He wants to get the ball in the back of the net, as a winger. So I think that holds him back. But over the course of the last couple of seasons, he's been a lot better consistency wise. And last season, everyone was crap for most of it. So I think the fact that he's come good towards the end of the season and carried it on through to this season is good. I just don't want to give him that new contract yet because you see it's time and time again. Players are brilliant when the contract is being negotiated. As soon as they get a new deal, they just go to shit.
It's weird how that happens, isn't it? It's weird, man. It almost makes you think that some of them play for the money when that happens, because it happens all the time. Very, very strange.
Yeah.
Go on and give us the rest of it.
Yeah, so on the left, I think Brighton, Lucas Paqueta, obviously, again, linked with Man City. Yeah. Very, very close to happening. If it weren't for allegations.
I mean, it would have happened, wouldn't it? It would have happened. By all accounts, I think City and West Ham had pretty much agreed the fee, 85 million quid. But obviously, what's happening with that? What's the latest? Is there any more news that's come out on Paqueta?
Yeah, I think it's all gone a bit quiet. I don't think they have concrete evidence like that he's linked with it. And I think that's the problem is they've got to have that to say that it was him. Even though the bets were made from Paqueta Island, funnily enough, which was a bit of alarm bells. Of all the places, telling his family, do it from Paqueta Island. It's wait, what's this?
Do they know how much was betted on it? Was it serious cash? Because he's probably on quite good money at West Ham. So I'd imagine if his family wanted some dough, could he not just send them some dough?
But that's what I said on Twitter when I was if that's true, just send them some money, man. It's so I don't know how much. I don't think we're talking millions, but as soon as it happened, because of location, everything, and the name, I think they might have used the same family name. It alerted because it was through our sponsor, Betway.
Yeah,
so our own sponsor grassed him up, essentially. Yeah.
But they probably have to do that, right? Because if they don't do that and then something comes out, they'll probably get in trouble themselves, right? So, and obviously they're being scammed out of cash. So if it's real, that's crazy, man. So you're saying there's nothing, no updates on that.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be one of these ones that's dragged out. I mean, we see the Ivan Toney situation, how long that took for him to finally get banned. So, I think it's gonna take a while. It could be resumed by next season. Obviously, next season is when his release clause kicks in, which is 85 million. So that's gonna be obviously for Man City. The big reason why you wanted him was De Bruyne was injured, right? And I think Paqueta would have been a really good signing for Man City. He's been class.
So do I, yeah.
really, really has kicked on. He started slow because of the mess he was coming into, but he's unbelievable. He's both ends of the pitch. Like, his defensive work is so underrated. Like, he's not one of these just flashy Brazilian flair players. Like, he can get stuck in. And what he can do with the ball is link up play. Like, imagine him linking up with the likes of Bernardo Silva's or Alvarez's, Haaland, like those little passes, 1-2s. Yeah, he's quality. He's brilliant. So
I was gutted, me, because I remember when we was first linked with him, I was a bit like, I don't know, man. But obviously, that's coming off the back of being linked with the likes of Jude Bellingham, because we was in for him, and then I think it was just like a bit gutted. But then after that had all passed and had started like thinking about it properly and watching highlights, looking at his numbers, just speaking to other fans and that, I was like, I actually got super excited about it. I was fully game for it. I was so excited, and then that news obviously broke, and it was just like, God's sake, man. And then we've ended up with Nunes, who we don't know what he's going to be like because he's not really played.
There you go. Up front, it's going to be Antonio. It's definitely not going to be Danny Ings. That's for sure. Yeah. It's literally, we've got Ings, Antonio Ings and Mubama, who's a young lad, he's about 19 years old, looks a bright prospect, but that's kind of like where we're at in terms of strike options. It's very thin, but Antonio, he started the season well, and this could be a good game for him if your defenders are going to be playing high up the pitch, a higher line, him playing off the shoulder, nice through balls in from Ward-Prowse or a ball over the top, him taking it on the turn there, running through. That's kind of what I'm looking for from Antonio.
Yeah. Okay. So that'll be some interesting battle there. So I mean, what I'd imagine then, obviously, again, you're not 100% sure if this is going to be the midfield three that you're going to be picked, but I'd imagine that say City have the ball, right? I'd imagine that probably these three might end up in a three. Would you? And just because I'd imagine that Bernardo will go over here, so Soucek will have to drag over there. Alvarez will probably drag over there, and then obviously Rodri will command the ball sort of around here. But
we've been defending very narrowly. Like, the big thing we've been doing is kind of forcing teams out wide to the wings, by being very compact and narrow out of possession. And what that's meant is teams are having to go out wide and put the crosses in. And obviously the players that we've got defending the crosses, it's been very effective. And that's what works. Like, you look at the Brighton game, so many times Matoma is constantly, every time he's have to go out wide, cross in, headed away. So I think that's kind of what we're going to be doing, and you're going to see some doubling up on players and things like that.
Well, in that case, then, what I think is going to be really interesting from our point of view, if what you're saying is true, which I think it probably is, because I do think that if Bernardo goes over and Alvarez comes over here, it will probably make these sort of in a three. Foden will probably take Palmieri. Something that we've noticed, and I actually pulled up some heat graph, the heat maps that you can get of players. Something that's completely changed this season, and some City fans are still not actually cottoned onto it, but it is true, is Walker this year is bombing forward a lot more. In previous years, he sort of just hovered around this sort of position, not really got forward. This year, there's a tactical change. So if Foden drifts in, which obviously he will do, because he's inverted, and Southgate says that's what he does when he plays for Manchester City, Palmieri will have to go for him, giving Walker this sort of freedom to get down the channel. That means Paqueta will have to sort of drop back quite a lot. Now, you said earlier on that Paqueta does work very hard, but I think that this game in particular, if the game goes how we think it will be interesting to see just how defensively, just how much effort he puts in defensively, because I do think that will be a sort of a key part of the game.
Yeah, we'll need it, because I think, and that's why I think Paqueta will play there rather than midfield, because he is better defensively than Benrahma. Benrahma's can get stuck in defensively, but Paqueta is much better putting in the tackles and putting on that pressure, and so him support, because Emerson's weak point, he's not the best defensively, so that is going to be a weak area in our game. So having a Paqueta there to drop back and support him, and then try and get on the ball and do something with it. That's kind of what we were doing. So, and we've seen that in other games, like the Bournemouth game. We've seen that in the Brighton game as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. On the other side, then for us, before we come on to the West Ham attack, Doku versus Kufal. Obviously, we don't really know how this is going to go. We've only seen Doku once for City. He started on the right and then went over to the left. Looks listen, he looks like an interesting player. I've said for a long time now since we signed the guy, and even before we signed him, that he's going to be frustrating at times. I think he's that type of winger that's going to lose the ball a lot because he's trying to take on players. He's still very young, but I do think ultimately, based on what I've seen so far, which is a full game when he was at wherever he was at before we signed him, and highlights and the City game so far, I do think there's a player in there. I think it's going to be really, really promising. Obviously, this game might be actually super important because if Grealish isn't playing and West Ham do what Lawless says and what I think they will end up doing by playing super narrow, forcing the ball out wide, he's going to get a lot of the ball. And his delivery into the box to Haaland is going to have to be on point. Now, I'm pretty sure he's right-footed. Yeah, he is right-footed, so he's going to be a lot of inverted. Now, he's better than Sterling in the sense of he's more comfortable on his weak foot. So we might see him go down the outside of Kufal and try to put a ball in, who knows? But I think that if he does start, which is at this moment in time looking very likely, unless Nunes plays, which I don't think will happen, he's going to have some expectation on him to create for Haaland because, like I say, at the moment you've only really got Foden on there.
This is the thing. As much as Soufal's been sort of good, when we played against Chelsea and we did a similar thing, Sterling had him all over the place. Do you know what I mean? Sterling was just rinsing Soufal. Like getting past him constantly. So really, if I'm Doku, probably better him taking on Soufal and trying to cut in and come inside and get the cross in. Obviously, Haaland is a tall guy, but he's going to have Zuma in front of him. He's going to have Souček dropping back and helping defend those crosses. Aguerd around there as well. Areola, likes to come out and punch the ball and things like that. So if he tries to get the ball in and put it across goal and things like that, that's probably I would say the better way to go about it than try and. There will be some he'll probably be mixing it up to be fair, but there will be some try and get some passes across goal along the floor. Get it to Haaland's feet in the box and he'll score. I think that's the best chance.
No, I think you're probably right. Right, take us through the game plan. What is David Moyes saying to his team in the dressing room or tomorrow in training? How are West Ham going to beat Manchester City, bro? Go on, I'll give you the ball with Areola. You got a goal kick. Souček's there. Ward-Prowse is there. Go on, talk us through it, man.
Right, see that ball? We don't want the ball. Fuck it, kick it up the pitch. Get rid of it. Get rid of that. Give it back to them right
Just give
now.
It to Edison, man. That's it. That's
try
it.
And get the ball. Once they've got it, is defend. Stay narrow, stay compact. Try and not give them space. And wait for them to make a mistake or to go out. Get onto the ball when we can and make a counter-attack. Double up on whoever's got the ball. And get out of it. As soon as you get that ball, find Antonio. Get the ball to Antonio or find Bowen in the corner. Get the ball out there. Like that's pretty much it. We'll be getting onto the ball. Ward-Prowse, he'll be looking up, trying to find Antonio every time. And if Antonio's not available, if he's got players around him, it's going to be played into the channels. That's kind of what we'll be looking to do. The possession is going to be very minimal, and I'd be very shocked if it was like above 15%. You're going to have a hell of a lot of the ball. So it's all going to be about that counter-attack. And this is why it cannot go through Souček, because the counter-attack has to be quick and decisive. You can't afford to stand and look. As soon as you receive that ball, you need to know where it's going. And that's why everything has to go through Ward-Prowse if it's not going over Ward-Prowse straight to Antonio.
Yeah, I think.
Beyond belief is right. It's Antonio's first touch is going to need to be spot on. And it can be. And so is Bowen's. Bowen's is good.
Yeah. So it will be interesting to see what happens actually when Areola has the ball at his feet. Because I doubt you're going to be playing out from the back. So you're You are going to be going. You're at home as well. Do you think there's going to be any added pressure on because you're at home? There usually is more pressure on teams when they're at home to sort of play a more positive sort of brand of football rather than when you're away. You can kind of do what you want. Do you genuinely just think though it's just going to be going long into the channels, even from goal kicks, where like how are the fans going to be understanding of the fact that you can't be playing out can't be playing balls out to Zuma or popping it into Souček or Ward-Prowse because they're going to have players on them like.
Yeah, I think most fans, because it is Man City, will be understanding of that. We'll have to be patient and accepting. Like, it's going to be a nervy watch because you're going to have a lot of chances. But what we really need to do is not just, like I said, just get the ball to Antonio, hope he runs through. We need to create set pieces. We need to shoot and try and force those corners in, or hope that you do those little tactical fouls you like to do and bring us out on the edge of the box, down on the edge of the box or something like that, and give Ward-Prowse a free kick. So set pieces are going to be huge for us.
So do you think then that players like Ward-Prowse, Souček, Bowen and Paqueta are sort of going to be going down a bit easier than on Saturday? Just because, like you say, just to try and get set pieces in these areas, and therefore for City, do you think City might, like, you think the likes of Ake and Walker need to be told, be careful when you're going near these players, because they are maybe going to look for a foul so they can get some good delivery in with Ward-Prowse?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's going to be the big thing. So maybe we're going to see a little bit more fouls through the middle. I'll never forget, like, when we played you at London Stadium, it was just so frustrating. Every time we got on the counter, you just drag us down. And, like, we just could not get anything going. I was fuming. So it's going to be interesting to see if you're still doing that. And if that can play to us. The problem is, if we put in free kicks in the middle of the pitch, it's no good to us. You know what I mean? We need them as close to that.
That's why you've got to be getting them in sort of this part of the field on the left, like in front of Bowen in front of Paqueta, and then just whipping balls in. Throw-ins. Like, do you have a big throw-in taker? Most clubs have one now. We've got
Walker. We've been doing a lot of those, like, throw-ins into the box, and they were so frustrating because they weren't working. But I've seen them like this season. They've really, for a lot of clubs, they've been working. They've been causing chaos. So yeah, we are sort of doing that, throw-ins into the box. So that's going to be very interesting to see how we do with that. I mean, that's basically effectively like a set piece.
Yeah, no, absolutely, it is. Your big up to Potts says, big up lads and chat. I expect West Ham to win this, seeing as they are looking good for top 4 this season. Lawless.
Is that what you just tried to? I just got a missed call from him. All right, I have to ring. I'll ring you afterwards.
But yeah, I mean, look, I think it's going to be a really interesting game. Obviously, with it being at London Stadium, I just think to myself, how negative, how much can West Ham sit back and absorb the pressure? You're talking about 15% ball possession, which I don't think is stupid, but with it being at the London Stadium, will the team push out a little bit more and then maybe give gaps for Manchester City to create? I don't know. I think it's going to be super interesting. But
yeah, I think earlier on in the game, you might see us be a little bit start a little bit quicker, and I've seen that before against teams like Man City. Where we will start a little bit more, get the crowd up. Early doors, right? Try and get something, and then we sort of settle into the game a little bit more and into the game plan. So that you could see that. It wouldn't surprise me if we were starting to get a few corners in at the start of the game. Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. What have you made of City before we wrap up? What have you made of City to start to the year? 4 wins out of 4.
Surprised, and it's weird to say that, but surprised because look, everyone says it's kind of cliche. You usually do start a little bit slower, and then you really get going. Because the amount of times I've been on shows like Potts' channel and so many of these other channels where everyone's like, "Oh, Man City are finally gonna slip up this year," and I'm like, don't write off Man City because they will come back. Like, everyone does it season after season, but this time, and it's so funny, is now the new coping mechanism is like, well, they're starting quick, so maybe they'll tail off later on. Like they do all of these things, but I think it's massively positive. Like that treble win and finally winning that Champions League was huge. It was huge for the fan base and it was huge for the team. And it's like just create this momentum and this buzz that is carrying on into this season. And I think we're going to be seeing Man City now. You've done a treble. So there's not complacency, but it's almost like the pressure's off. Like, let's play with a bit more freedom and enjoy it and just go for it without having to have this over our heads. Oh, we've got to beat this record or we've got to win this Champions League, you know? And I think that's what we're seeing. A much more free.
No, I agree. I think that, you know, I think that City could go the opposite way to how people I thought we might go and just kick on and go mad. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the Kyle Walker quotes a couple of weeks ago where he came out and he said that he had like a talk with the players at the start of the season and said, why do we always start slow in seasons? Why don't we actually start fast for once and just run away? Basically, he was saying, why don't we just run away with the league rather than, you know, clawing back points like we did last year with Arsenal, or being 3 points within the title with Liverpool because we've had a slow start and so far 4 wins out of 4. But listen, this is going to be a tricky game. You know, David Moyes, he knows what he's doing in these games. I think he actually kind of prefers playing in these games sometimes, I think, because he just gets his foundations right. You know what I mean? He can get the team playing how he wants defensively. I am going to go for a City win now. I'm going to back the boys. I think we'll get the job done. I don't think it'll be easy. I think we could keep a clean sheet with the defense that I put on screen earlier. So I'm going to go for a 3-0 Manchester City win. Do you see West Ham getting anything from this, bro, or do you think this is 3 points lost?
Look, I would not be shocked if we lose this game. I've got a weird little bit of confidence. Look, when it comes to you battering us, like that hasn't happened, you know, under David Moyes, like since he's come back. Like it's not, you know, like the Pellegrini years where you was putting 4s, 5s, 6s past us, you know, and Pellegrini was just like, hey lads, how you doing? Here's my little help to you, my gift to you. Like we went seeing that. So when you have beaten us, it's been a tighter game. And, you know, we did get that 2-2. Obviously, we beat you in the Carabao Cup on penalties and things like that. So I'd be shocked if you did put like it was just like a 3-0 easy sweep or a 4-0 or even a 5-0. So I'm gonna go 2-2. I think we'll score first. I really do. It could be a 2-2 or 1-1. I'm gonna go 2-2. It's got to be a few goals in this, especially like from you lot. So yeah, I honestly think we'll score first, and it's just going to be a horrible, nervy game, and it's going to be back and forth. So, yeah, look, a point would be huge. If we win somehow, people are going to have to look at us differently, and I will be coming on Race for Europe, and I'll be having a lot to say to a lot of people on there who have doubted us. But a draw, even still, it's going to have to be respected.
No, factual. And for City, you know, we've got two more winnable games after this one, because this one is one of our winnable games. We got Wolves and we got Notts Forest before we start a horrendous run in October and November of like the Arsenals, Brightons, and the rest of them in the league. So we want to be winning this game. I think it is going to be tough. I said it weeks ago. This is probably one of the toughest games we've got at the start of the season. But if we can get through this, we should then be getting 6 points out of our next 2 games, which will put us on 21 points. It'll be 7 wins in a row. And that will give us hopefully a little bit of a cushion going into those horrendous fixtures, man. Listen, guys, if you want to see more of me and Lawless, then we're on Football's 12th Man podcast every Tuesday night, providing that I wake up usually around 8-9 o'clock. So yeah, go check us out on there every Tuesday. It's a good laugh, man, and there's some big debates on there. So yeah, go check us out. Where you at, bro? On us on your socials? What are you doing?
Yeah, at the Lawless on the Twitters if you want to come and interact directly there. West Ham Fan TV is, you know, all the videos on there. You've, you know, got build up and all sorts of stuff. Yes, Steve, I'm on Friday Night Pint tomorrow, our live show, and then we're going to have all the match day content, fan cams, post-match pint, watch along with Jace are going on. It's going to be a lot, so come and watch us on there.
Big up, man. Big up. Well, thanks for coming on, bro. That was a proper football chat tonight, wasn't it? That was good, that. And
yeah, I enjoyed it.
Listen, even though we expect to win, if you get beat, I'm coming for you, mate, on Tuesday, because I don't care. I don't care. No, you don't have
You
to
see-
say anything. You just got to sit there. That's the worst thing about it. You'll just have to sit there and take it because you know
do
there's.
you know what the consolation is? Like, if we lose, if you win, then it dampens like Arsenal's hopes because they feel like, oh, we're gonna win the league this season. It's like, so
Yeah.
either if we get something and I'm super hyped, or you win and it's like, okay, it's another 3 points to City that helps them push on and Arsenal not win it. You know, so there's that, you know, but ultimately
There's
I
W
want to
there.
win. I want to
Yeah.
prove people wrong. Like, so many people wrote us off. And I want to shove it straight in their faces. The Dan Potts, if he's still watching, and Errol's, and all of these other people, Daniel, all these people that wrote us off, man. So that I want this so bad.
Yeah, he was
we
moving
might
mad, by
be
the
looking
way,
like title challenge. Might be talking about a title
I know.
charge.
Well, yeah. I mean, Leicester did it right out of nowhere. So, and you
Leicester,
are European champions, bro. You are European
remember
champions.
Leicester's season? Do you remember they were nearly relegated? They was on a relegation.
Yeah, they
battle
were.
a year
Pearson
before
won
they
it. Yeah,
Mate,
but
we win this.
you're European champions, bro. You're European champions, and you know, so maybe some would say that you should expect to win this game. You should have some belief that you should win the game. You're European champions, mate.
Clash of European Titans coming up.
I
This is
know.
going to be huge. This is going to be like basically Premier League 6-pointer / Super Cup. You know, it's kind of a Super Cup.
It's a Super Cup, man. English Super Cupper. Listen, I gotta leave it there. Big up to Dan for coming on, man. Guys, if you're still watching this or you're watching back on replay, make sure you drop a like on the stream. Subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. If you're watching back on replay, get your comments in down below. I'll be live tomorrow during the day, and then I'm gonna have a video preview tomorrow, not a live preview. I'm at a bit of a birthday sesh tomorrow night, so no live tomorrow night, but I will do a proper West Ham preview. But yeah, big up to everyone. Hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one. See you in a bit.